another episode of Onward Christian Television, the show that celebrates ordinary people doing extraordinary things. If you didn't know, laughter is good for the soul. If you didn't know that, you need to go back and read Proverbs. On the show today, we're joined by a prolific artist. He is a comedian extraordinaire. His name, Prosper Ngomashi, or better known as the comic pastor.
Saka munoti nema warriors ari kuRwanda ku tournament.
Inini chandungoti dai wadzoka zvawo. Nekuti tikatarisa vanhu tingati vanhu 24 vari kungo vakaenda vasina zvavari kuita. And about 24 wao so far havana kana one attack goesa. Vese vakaenda vari 24 vari kuitei. Vanorohwa nemaneighbors edu eZambia. Takati pamwe vari kumaintaina magood relations nekuti Zambia ndoiri kuti pachibage. But kana vachirohwawo nemali, ndinoona kunge vari kutokanganisa ngavadzokezvawo kune zvinhu zvakawanda zvinogadziriswa munyika muno. Mukaenda naChiremba Road mapotos arimo, mukatarisa apa pane mvura iri kungodhudhuka. Saka tikutiwa vakomana vakaita sana Rodi nana Runi ngavangodzoke vabatsirewo kugadzira zvinhu kuno pane kuti veswere vachitamba zvavo ikoko. Izvi kuno kune zvinhu zvakamira plus mvura yakunaye kune minda ida kusakurwa ngavangodzoke zvavo vakomana.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you, viewer.
You made Zimbabweans laugh. You've made many Zimbabweans laugh across your social platforms. And many believe that you're always in character. This is who you are, comic pastor. Is that so?
I don't know. I also think like all other people think, and I wonder whether is it me every day like that or. But what I'll tell you is, as a comedian, you don't have time. You don't have to be switched on or off. You are who you are, so that's it. You be natural throughout. So it's 24/7, I guess.
How did you get into comedy?
I don't know. It was by divine appointment. Because I remember some time back in South Africa when I was there, my bishop, Bishop Priska Soko said, "You must be a comedian." So it was prophetic. At the same time, it was a divine calling. So I think it's something that just came from God. It's a gift from God.
There's so many stage comedians and they go by different names, but why did you pick comic pastor?
Because I'm the pastor. The reason being I preach comedy. I'm different from other comedians because those comedians they have their stage names. But I also started in church. I started as if you follow my history back from my church, I started as a Ugandan pastor. We had a small stand-up skit that we used to do with an interpreter where I'll be speaking in one language and the guy will be preaching in English. So from there I became a Ugandan pastor, and then going on stage, going into the secular world, I just thought, no, let me just be the pastor I was before, but let me now be Prosper the comic pastor.
Alright, you post a skit almost every day. How do you go about your creative process? Maybe take us through the steps.
It's our day-to-day life. Comedy is like our day-to-day life. Here we see a lot of things. You see a pothole, you want to write about it, you want to talk about it. You see a combi driver trying to run away from the police, you want to write about it, you want to talk about it. If a musician does something funny, you're there. So a comedian is like a news reporter. You're there when it's happening. You are there. You need to know what's happening. So that's how we come up with these creative ideas, and then you say, what if I say it in this way, and then people laugh.
Okay, you say you're a social commentator.
Yes.
Okay, so we know artists are only as good as their last script. Are you not afraid that sometimes the stuff that you present to your audiences might not be funny?
It's very normal to create something that's not funny, but what gave me the idea is it's like I always say, it's like composing a song. You find an artist who's got 8 songs on an album, but not that all the 8 songs will be interesting to the artist. There will be 4 people who like that song. He wrote that song for those 4 people. So don't worry much about 1,000 views. Just entertain 4 people. I stand for the audience of 1. If it's my calling and I have to entertain 1 person, they say a rock artist travels 5,000 km to get $5 while he's playing for 4,000 people. But a jazz artist travels 20 km to play for 4 people for $5,000. So that's the difference in art. You don't need everyone. Sometimes you need everyone. So it's the way It is.
And how have you used your craft to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ? You go by the name Comic Pastor. Obviously, in your skits, there is a word in there.
Not necessarily in the skits, but I've used my timeline on Facebook. I've used my timeline to preach the gospel of Christ. Now and again, the two things that I always say: I am a product of grace. I'm a product of the grace of God. Number two, my God is greater than my gift. I always say this on my platform. I always say this, and I'm not ashamed. I always say I'm not ashamed to be a believer. These are the lines that I always move around with. So everyone who is following me, at times they find it running on my timeline that I am not ashamed that I believe in Jesus Christ.
Do you think the comedy industry in Zimbabwe is growing at the level that it should? And if it is, where do you see it in the next 5 years?
Growth, I think currently in Zimbabwe, growth is per individual. If you choose to grow, I've known some comedians who have been there before me, 5 years before me, and if you go in the streets, they're not known. So I would say growth is per individual, and if you choose to be known, if you choose to make noise, because there is growth in two ways. There is growth of me being known as a comic pastor, but not making money out of it. Then there is growth of someone who is not even known, but making money out of it. So for an artist, life as an artist, you need to know two things. Do you want to be known, or do you want the money? So for some, it's the money, and they think if they're making 500 per show, they've grown. For me, it's just the art itself growing, and I say it's growing. Because back then, we only relied on TV, on like, what do you call it, our usual ZBC, our usual things. But now it has gone online, and we have so many people coming with their material online. So that's growth to me.
And you have about 17,000 followers on Facebook, and you post a video, 2 minutes, it has over 1,000 likes, 1,000 views. How do you handle the pressure of, wanting to feed that 17,000 people?
I have no pressure. People are the ones who've got pressure, because what happens? I have no pressure because it's in me, and I'm not doing it for everyone. Like I said, I'm doing it for 5,000 people. If it reaches 10,000 views, it's a bonus. I'm only doing it for 4 people. I have somebody who is in the UK who is missing home, who just want to see the roads in Zimbabwe. So when I do a skit, it's not necessarily the joke that I'm doing, but it's the picture that I'm giving you. Sometimes you see me, maybe I do a skit in a busy road. You don't even hear what I'm saying. But because somebody who is not in Zimbabwe, he just hears that they're combis, I do it for that reason. So I have 5 people who are in the UK or in Australia who just want to see what Zim is looking like now. It's a rainy season, we have maize, it's green everywhere. Yeah. So you just do a skit somewhere where there is maize and greenness, and people are happy. You
used to be under the Bus Stop stable, and now you are a solo act. What went wrong with Bus Stop TV?
A lot of things happen. I wouldn't call it. They call it factionalism in politics. They call it growth. If you want to run away from the question, they just say, no, it's growth. That's what we always like. But I'll tell you, it's because when you work with a stable, you are limited. I cannot drink beer because I work with a stable. I'm not saying I drink beer. It's a joke. Okay. When you work with a label, when you work with a brand, when you are under a brand, there are things that you're not supposed to do. The people, I cannot talk about Ellen because Ellen, she's also a supporting, financially support. So those things don't really work with comedy. They don't work because I have the freedom to talk about the minister. I have the freedom to talk about a journalist. I have the freedom to talk about another artist. That doesn't necessarily mean that I hate the minister. That doesn't necessarily mean that I hate the artist. But it's the line of comedy. You look at people like Trevor Noah, he's a comedian. He speaks about Jacob Zuma here. He speaks about Julius Malema there. Because I'll tell you one thing. When the Jacob Zuma has got a wedding or anything, the first person you ever think of is Trevor Noah. Yeah. So that's the same thing with comedy. So now with Bus Stop, because it's a brand, because it's a house, and you have 4 other people that don't want their name to be tarnished because of you. Because sometimes you think you're making fun, and then they think, oh no, you're tarnishing our image. So by so doing, I chose not to be under a brand which needs to grow. Bus Stop is a brand that needs to grow, and they still want to maintain ethics and everything. But I'll tell you what, ethics, order, and everything, they distort art. In the end, we have artists. We have got propaganda. You know, propaganda is where you speak highly of something, and yet you know definitely that thing is not high. So we have artists like that who are compressed and confined to speak what their masters like.
But doesn't having structure in an organization or in an art guarantee growth? Because sometimes if it's very haphazard, I don't think...
Structure is in politics, structure is in churches. In comedy, there's no structure. Sawira, if in our Shona language, what do they call him? A family friend. Is a guy who makes jokes at a funeral. And people laugh because you have appointed him to be him. He understands that people are trying to take the coffin into the wherever the pastor is trying to preach. Just after the pastor preaches, he's giving you an ululation because you have given him the task to be a family friend. So structures work. If I had a band, I would tell my guys not to wear black because we are Christians, so we only wear white. But in comedy, you don't need laws, too many laws to who do you speak about, who do you not speak about.
All right. Who inspires you and why?
A lot of guys inspire me. We were talking about it in the afternoon with someone. I get inspired by a lot of guys. Michael K. If you know Michael K, he has been a comedian in Zimbabwe. He's good. Carl Joshua Ngube. I like the way that Carl is a traveling comedian. So he has got a lot of exposure, and by so doing, you get inspired to see one comedian taking it to another level. But outside Zimbabwe, I am a big fan of Trevor Noah. I watch Trevor Noah again and again. Also, Clive Chigubu is one comedian I would want to learn much from.
Now that we've heard a lot about your work, let's get to know who Prosper is in the home. Are you married? Do you have any children?
I'm currently not married, but in a good relationship with Nodi Ravi Rosijol. She's we call her my Shishi. She's called my Shivon. I once was married, but as an artist, the thing that you look at and your wife doesn't understand it. If you're coming home at 2, she didn't like it. She take photos with Ellen. She thinks Ellen is more beautiful than her. She complained. You do this, so she decided, no, Prosper, I can't live with you. I can't just bear this, and she went. I was once married to Munyara Zimrefu. She decided to go. And then I'm now in a relationship with Nod.
Okay. Since you're a comedian, I must think your wife is laughing all the time, or your partner currently laughs all the time. Are you in character?
She doesn't like jokes. She doesn't like jokes.
Really?
Okay, what happens is there's serious issues that you look at, and then you guys will be looking at it seriously, and I'll be like, no, that's not it. It's a joke, and you don't understand it as a wife. You think this man is crazy. So now and again, I try to be me. I try to be a serious me. I try to be a real husband. You know, when you're walking in Spa, you're trying to push the trolley, you're rolling it, trying to just be funny. She doesn't like it. She thinks, no, you're being too funny.
Okay, so she brings balance to you.
Yes, that's the thing. It's called balance.
Yeah.
When you try to get a cut and then you put that little shade there, you say, no. A proper husband doesn't do that.
Really, what are you saying?
It's either cheese cop or...
But Prosper, that's the haircut you have, and that's the haircut that I have. So what are you saying?
No, you know what happens, Ellen? You get it by force. You know, from the days of John the Baptist up until now, the haircut is taken by force. You know what I'm talking about. So that's the thing. That's the thing.
Okay, I must admit, yes, I agree. The haircuts has
you have to take it by force. So that's what I do. You just go to the barber and then you just ask him to just do it faintly so that she doesn't see it.
All right. So what advice can you give other aspiring artists and comedians that look at you and love your craft? What word can you give them?
Point number 1, God is greater than any art form in this world.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't do it for fame. I never did this for fame. Fame will follow you. But if you're doing it for fame, I tell you, you'll never be recognized by an individual fool. You know, you want to be recognized by, the greatest art is to be sometimes recognized by a young kid and to be recognized by an elderly person. That's the benefit of art. If you're doing it for fame, you fall by the wayside. Do it because you love it. Do it out of passion. If you do it for fame, I've seen, not only in comedy, but in music. You see that this artist has got the money, has got the cameras, has got the studios, has got everything. But the main reason he's doing this is for fame, and he never gets it.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Prosper. Oh, Comic Pastor.
You can call me
I'm not
Comic
sure
Pastor.
who I'm speaking to right now.
You're speaking to the pastor.
All right, and lastly, let's get to hear where people can get in touch with you. Where do they follow you on social media?
Yes. I have a social media page on Facebook, which is Prosper the Comic Pastor. But I still have got a timeline where they can follow me. I don't know why I have two concurrent writing.
For you to manage your two personas.
Yes. The other one, it's me. It's me and my family and my. I try to be so serious on that platform, but I find people just inboxing me and say, how are you, Pastor? And it's the same thing. So I've just opened those two pages. There's a Prosper the Comic Pastor on Facebook and Prosper Ngomashi on Facebook as well. Then I have a YouTube channel as well. It's Prosper the Comic Pastor. Twitter is the Comic Pastor. Yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
You
it was
are welcome.
such a pleasure having you
are
on
welcome.
Onward Christian Television.
And we had promised viewers that we're going to do that song, and we're still going to do it.
We will.
Yes, it's me, Prosper the Comic Pastor, and Ellen. We're going to do this song. We all love it. I know we come from a Christian background, all of us, and we've heard this song in church. It's called Huku, and we love the song. We'll sing it together. Unfortunately, we don't have our keyboardist. He's out in with the conference somewhere, so we just do it. Ellen, you start or I start?
Please go ahead, Pastor. Do start.
Okay.
I will be the backing vocalist.
Huku ruwenyu Mwari unosha nisa kwazvo.
Okay, singing is not my craft. I think I will end it there. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Onward Christian Television. If you want to be a part of this show, do contact us on the numbers that you see on your screen, and do follow us on all our social media platforms. Until next time, it's goodbye from me and from the pastor.
Bye.
Bye.